So, me, furlim, will be playing as Goofy. Goofy is a support role, basically around the run. And Titan here will play as Max. He will be the responsible for almost all the movement.
Ready.
So we're ready. I'll just make a countdown here. And we start in 3, 2, 1, let's go!
Alright, so we're jumping right in this. As Furlim and Titan mentioned, this is going to be very Zelda-esque, as you can see with this top-down view. So basically what you got here, this is personally my favorite co-op game of all time, and it's a really good speedrun to watch. You're going to have Goofy and Max, who vary slightly different. Like they mentioned, Goofy's support and Max does like the haul of the work, mostly because Max is slightly faster than Goofy, and Goofy is going to do more damage to enemies. So in this first level, you're going to just see two types of enemies. They're going to be the blue guys are Jollies, and you'll see these like fatter guys up ahead here. They're going to be called Rogers. So Goofy can take each one of these enemies out in one hit, but Max, it's going to take 2 hits to kill the Rogers. And we see our first puzzle. Pretty easy to start off the game. Good way to get into it. You're going to see very similar block puzzles like that later in this game. A lot of them more complex. When I was a kid playing them, it took forever to solve some of these later ones, especially when you're playing on solo. I should mention the co-op improves this run by about like 5 minutes in total, I want to say, because there is a lot of optimization done with both of these characters. Most of the screens, it's just Max trying to run through by himself, so it won't save too much time off of the solo. But whenever you'll see like a lot of item swapping. You don't see many items used in this first stage, but there's a lot of cool tricks that are later to come, including like some death warps. Goofy's gonna game over a couple times because in co-op, once you game over in one screen and go to the next, you're allowed to jump back in and get all your lives back. So that's a really cool mechanic that's abused very heavily in this run. Okay, so we are on to our first boss. This is Jester Hole. Probably one of the most unique bosses in this game. The bosses later to come will just be one big enemy. Wow, did you guys kill him that quick? My goodness, that was a really good Jester Hole, actually. But basically, there's 7 of them that pop up. They'll just spawn in random holes. Some of them will throw out barrels and bombs to catch, and you start with 4 barrels yourself. So the general strategy there was to try to use your first 4 efficiently into where you can like catch some at the same time that they throw. It's a really hard one to time because of the randomness of that stage. But on to stage 2 here, I actually personally think this is one of the most frustrating stages to run in the game. You're going to see a couple more items in this stage, including the plank, which they just got, and you're going to see their first use of using death abuse here, because as a co-op partner, you're only allowed to grab 1 item at a time, but when you're on solo, you can grab 2. So Max will run around and grab both of those items like they did, and Goofy will spawn in and then take the other one from Max. And here's some lesser-known enemies that are talked about in the game, the snakes and the frogs that you'll see. Those can die by a hook shot rather than throwing an item at them. So you'll just see like Max, if he has a hook shot running around, he'll just hook shot those and kill them. But now we're on to almost one of the most frustrating rooms after he grabs both of these items down here. These guys, I believe, are called Jacks. I'm not too sure on that. I always forget the names of these guys. But their gimmick is that they can kick blocks that are in the way, which can make this block puzzle extremely frustrating. It's not too bad on co-op because you can control them pretty well. But yeah, they'll like to get in the way and kick a block in the corner and just basically ruin your run, or you'll have to reset the room, one or the other. And then we got these green guys here. They'll also die in 2 hits from Max, only 1 from Goofy, and they throw swords at you. A little bit of a hassle to dodge, but easy to get around most of the time. But yeah, most of these beginning stages, there's 5 stages in total in this game, and we're coming up to the end on the second one right now. And we'll get to see our third new character of this pop up. Well, I guess these guys popped up a little bit earlier, but these guys will roll around, and sometimes they can be troll like this last guy here, unfortunately. So he's gonna take the hit boost here. One thing I didn't mention, you collect a bunch of fruit in this game, and each one will count as a heart if it's like a cherry or a banana. I'll explain more of that later after we get done with this boss, but this is Firebug right here. So his gimmick, he breathes fire. As you can see, he can like throw little fire torches at you. And this is where the Goofy support really comes into play, because like we mentioned, Goofy does more damage. So you want to feed barrels to Goofy to get the kill there, which they got a pretty good kill on Firebug as well, so they're going to be moving on to stage 3. But yeah, there's so much to talk about this game. Sometimes it just like catches up on you on the action. But what I was mentioning earlier about the fruit, cherries are 1 heart, bananas are 2, and then you can get red diamond, which is a extra life, and then a blue diamond will get you a continue if you manage to both die and not be able to spawn in. So I did see him take a safety continue, which is good precaution. Normally in a run you probably never grab the continue, especially in co-op. But once you have a set amount of hearts on the screen, it doesn't matter if it's 1 hearts or 6 hearts, that's when you can take that damage boost. And it comes into really good play sometimes. This is a really interesting room right here that I like to watch. This is the cannonball room. So you'll want to try to get Goofy to come in here with 0 lives, but sometimes when he has more, you're going to like alternate bombs patterns here and like take deaths on those cannonballs, because Goofy will kill that cannon 1 shot faster than Max will. And you're seeing a lot of this teamwork coming into play here as Goofy went up to the door immediately when Max grabbed the item, so Goofy could spawn straight into the door. I think that's one of the coolest things in this game is when you're trying to do item management, and level 3 is probably the best level to showcase that, because in a room that's coming up, you'll get to see like the teamwork at its fullest. They're gonna go back and forth through a door several times. Also, that open pattern in that previous room, probably the hardest puzzle of all time. I don't think anyone would have been able to spell open. Alright, here's the room at work. So we had Goofy die here, but then he's going to spawn in, so he grabs a specific item. He hook shots here so they can go back and grab that last item, and then they're going to split up in this room. Because there's a lot of items bundled between these 2 rooms, so you want to try to grab it the most efficiently, because you basically want to use every single hook shot and key that are in this level. So now you got like essentially the first auto scroller. You gotta wait for this platform. It's a little bit annoying. You can do some fun stuff, maybe like hook shot to the sync of the music sometimes. Don't be too cocky, because I've fallen off that platform before and it wastes so much time. Then we got this bomb room here. For the most part, you just kind of throw the bombs equally at each other. There's no real way to try to get them even. Sometimes you can get lucky, but the bombs pretty much shoot at random times. So you can have Goofy throw a bomb to Max sometimes, but more often than not, just throwing them straight's a really good strategy there. And just like that, we are heading to our third boss here. It's going to be the red and blue skeletons. Not much to say about these guys, but the blue skeleton will throw 2 bones that will stay in the air much longer, so you can't grab them quickly, and the red guy throws 3 that fall. So typically, there's 2 different strategies you can have here. You can kill them evenly, or some people just like to kill the blue first because he's a pretty big hassle to kill. But more often than not in co-op, you want to try to keep it even. And once you get them down to half health, or even sometimes above half health, you'll see they start throwing their head. And you want to time this as soon as they throw your head, that's when you throw the bones back at them. But while they finish this up, there's not too much to explain at the beginning of the 4th level either. But if you have any donations right now, you can go ahead and read them.
Sounds good. If you are just joining us, you are watching the Bring 'em Over Marathon, and we are raising money to bring 2 speedrunners to AGDQ 2018, Chrissy and Cassio third. Both of them will be running the Mega Man 3 leg of the first ever Mega Man relay. It's been accepted to GDQ, and also the very first 4-team relay that has been at a GDQ event. So this is going to be a massive, supernova, grandiose relay race with the who's who of the Mega Man speedrunning community. If all of these donations will be going to help them pay for their travel costs, and you can also put those donations to bid wars and incentives. The next bid war that is closing is the Zelda 2 file name incentive. Right now, Not Link is in the lead for that. There are also 3 donations incentives to unlock different runs. Hyperlight Drifter All Bosses, Lit Dark Mode, and Mega Man Limit, the Yoku Man stage incentives all still need money to be met.
Alrighty, thank you for that. So as we are coming on to stage 4 here, this is one of the most unique stages in the game, because right at this room that they're at now, you see that there's a top door and a right door. This is the only stage in the game where you can take split paths and still get to the end. They're going to be taking this top door here because it is the fastest in the run, because a lot of the puzzles here are a little bit more complex, but they are shorter to complete. And I like stage 4 personally because there are just a lot of puzzles that are in this run, especially that last one. It looked pretty easy for them to do, obviously, because they have it memorized, but that was one of the hardest for me to solve when I first played this game. And this room right here could be a little bit troubling too, because if you saw those blocks with the green glow, those are the exploding blocks. So it has 3 stages, green, yellow, and red, and it just determines how quickly it's going to explode on you. And if they happen to explode on you, since they go into a place that you got to kick up to complete the pattern, you'll have to reset the room. And then one of the last puzzles for this room, got to do it in the dark. This one's a little bit intimidating, though the blocks are pretty much straightforward. They're not too hard to figure out. And then followed by probably one of the most troll rooms in the run. Luckily, they got a pretty good pattern for it. Yeah, and he had the nice hook shot down to push him in the block. But you don't have any barrels or anything to kill him. You got to kick the blocks only into him. And with 4 guys rolling around there, sometimes it can be a little bit troll. So you got to time them just right. Luckily, there's a set path that you run at the beginning of it that pretty much manipulates them pretty well. But even then, you'll have to like work with what you got. And then this is the last stage before the boss. You don't get a boss key for this run. And then you got 4 enemies up top, and since it takes max 2 hits to kill them all, he just fed barrels to Goofy, and they're onto the boss now. Probably the most consistent boss, but the most boring one to do. We have the red and green rumblers. So they're gonna drop these nail-like objects. I'm not sure specifically what they're called, but they pretty much look like giant nails. They're gonna try to throw them at each one of the rumblers' heads. And so for the first 4 hits, it's just gonna be 1 popping out each. So it doesn't matter too much who hits them. Each character is gonna do the same amount of damage. But after they get 4 total hits, this is when both of them start popping out at the same time. And this is when co-op benefits so much, because it takes about 10 to 15 seconds, I think, between each cycle. And so when you have co-op hitting both of the rumblers at the same time, you're saving that much time in between each. And that's where a bulk of the co-op, or bulk of the time saved in co-op comes into play, is during this boss fight. So it's pretty cool. I'm sure they play just like any other co-op team, where they have their corners here and then they watch just 4 specific angles, or 8, I guess. I can't. Yeah, 8 pass technically. And if they see a rumbler come out one of those, they're going to be covering that one to hit. And then Goofy's going to be taking some deaths here at the end too, because there's going to be a death abuse that they do at the beginning of stage 5. Max sitting with plenty of lives. He never really dies all too much, and if you get lucky and catch a bunch of red diamonds, you can just be stockpiling them up the whole run. But we are on the final stage of the run right now. Stage 5. I always say stage 2 is the hardest, but you can definitely argue that stage 5 is pretty hard too. There's some really tricky rooms in here. But here's going to be one of my favorite strats that they're doing right now. Max is going to throw a bomb to kill Goofy after he grabs the hook shot there, so Max can run over and use it much quicker than Goofy would have. And then you had a little bit of a manipulation there with the block too. You probably wouldn't be able to catch it too quickly first time watching, but normally you'd have to take a different path to kick those blocks to get through, but they just like went off a couple pixels and kicked it down to avoid that. Another annoying room here, you gotta lure the enemies into the cannons. They're getting a little bit trolled right now, unfortunately. This green guy can have a mind of his own sometimes, and he likes to switch targets from either Max or Goofy or roll around. And I believe sometimes when he's in rolling form and he actually goes up into the air, he can jump over the cannons that got shot at you. That was a super unfortunate room. Sometimes the green guy does that. Not really much you can do. Another pretty cool room here. Max sits up at the top corner to lure the guys up to the top left. Goofy is going to try to grab the barrels really quick and kill them all. You can get a really, really fast strat for that sometimes. Really hard to pull off though. Yeah, but level 5, it's a lot of kind of the same stuff. You know, you got your basic puzzles and whatnot, but I think it's more hard ways to kill the enemies. And this room is pretty cool right here. This is actually an intended strat. You have to hookshot those barrels to get past that gate there. So that was a cool little way of trying to think of how to get past that level. Yeah, but I'd say level 2 and level 5 are some of the most or the two most levels that in runs for you. You'll probably see that upcoming with this final boss, which is the most RNG part about this game, which is super unfortunate if you're trying to go for a really competitive time. Level 5's boss will give you a run for your money. This stage here, as you saw, he used the bell, which only gets used for this stage for the speed run. You'll have to lure that enemy. There's a set path that Max walks to do that. It's really weird because if you're off by a little bit, he can like just start walking up the wall and have a mind of his own. So you got to just kind of, yeah, it's pretty generous, but you got to sit in mostly the right places. They did a cool trick there. So on Goofy's iframes, Max kicked the block into him, and usually when you would do that, you would have like an animation when you get hit by a barrel or a block where they just kind of like spaz out for a second but don't take any damage. But since he was in the middle of his invincibility frame still, he managed to just tank the hit and continue to walk down to the stairs for the next room. And also, there's not too much interesting about these next couple rooms. They're going to use hook shots here to get across these cannons, and we got 2 more rooms after this. But I want to explain that room where you saw with the arrow keys to push that platform. That's a super interesting room for the speed run. So for co-op, you have one guy sit up at the top corner and one guy on the bottom, and he stands in the middle because it's the best place to spawn up and right arrow keys, which is the ones that you need the most. So they just try to get those as quickly as possible. But now we are on to the final boss. This is Keelhaul Pete. He is a super RNG boss. You want him to do tornadoes and throw bombs at you, and that's the one way you can hit him. I believe it's 12 hits to kill with Goofy, 14 to kill with Max. They're gonna be trying to give as many bombs to Goofy as they can. And when they do finish this stage, time will be right on the stage clear text. It'll be like a couple seconds after the boss goes off screen. This is a really interesting fight in the way that it can be super lucky at the beginning. You want him to do a lot of bomb patterns, like he is for the most part, but he's not throwing like a lot of bombs like the one bomb there. He gives another one right now. That's pretty cool. He also has a hook shot attack where you'll want to spin the D-pad around as fast as you can to escape that. You want to hit that as quickly as you can because it'll reset the attack really quickly. And then he can jump on those platforms at the left and the right there, and he can spawn minions or do more tornadoes up there. And so you won't see it in this run, but a good strategy is to usually have Max distract the minions and have Goofy just be free to throw bombs at Pete. I think they are pretty close to beating Pete now. Unfortunately, we lost Goofy among the way, and it's going to be Max soloing it. He's got 2 lives, though, and they've had pretty generous bomb patterns. Maybe not the best bomb spawns, but they've had like tons of attempts to put this away. And yeah, that's going to be the kill right there, and time is now.
Oh, man. What a terrible Pete.
That was our fault. Oh my god, Pete was good, but I played badly.
And I killed my teammate.
Sorry about that, guys. What was the time we weren't seeing? Watching 2044. I see now.
Pretty nice.
Yeah, that's not too bad. And it wouldn't be Goof Troop if you didn't hit your partner a couple times. I think that's necessary.
True. That's very true.
Yeah, but yeah, thanks to Furlim